Hello everyone, my name is Min-jin Choi. I am a graduate student at SKKU, South Korea. I will introduce our work, Local Collaborative Autoencoders. This work is collaborated with Yoongi Jung, Junseok Lee, and Jungkook Lee. First, let me start with the motivation. Conventional rate and factor models run user features and item features using a user-item interaction matrix. Most existing methods use a single global model where all users and items are met on the same dimension. However, some users or items may have different features. For example, the features for representing shirts and the features for representing shoes may be different. So the whole matrix can be divided into multiple sub-matrices, also called local matrices. A local model is trained using a sub-matrix, so it can run features for representing the sub-community well. In the example below, we can extract the blue and red sub-matrices from the whole matrix. As you can see in the blue circle, the local model for the blue matrix can well represent the sub-community within that matrix. However, existing local models have some limitations. First, ROLMA, a local model framework based on a matrix factorization model, uses large local models. So the local models may be similar to the global model. The authors also stated that much of the performance gain comes from the ensemble effect. Second, SGRSVD, a local model framework based on singular vector decomposition, use small local models. So some local models may not have enough training data, which makes the local model less accurate. Then, how to build coherent and accurate local models? We try to solve this question in two ways. First, we keep the size of the local models small and use extensive training data to solve the insufficient data problem. The graph below shows a simple experiment. We fixed the test matrix to 1% of all users and trained the local models with different size of the training matrix. When the training matrix is same as the test matrix, the local model is less accurate than the global model. On the other hand, when we expanded the size of the training matrix, the local model shows higher accuracy than the global model. However, if the size of the local matrix is too large, some of the training data can be noisy to the sub-community. While the existing local models use a linear-based model, we adopt autoencoder-based models. So we expect each local model to better capture the non-linear and complicated local patterns. Now, I would like to introduce the proposed method, ROCA. Our method consists of 3 steps. The first step is to select an anchor user and discover 2 local communities for the anchor user. One is a small local community that is closely related to the anchor user, and the other is an expanded local community to serve the lack of training data. The second step is to train the local model with the expanded local community. The final step is to combine these local models. So in step 1, we discover local communities for an anchor user. First, we calculate the similarity between the anchor user, and all the others. And we determine a local community with users whose similarity is relatively high. After that, we expand the community for training the local model by lowering the similarity threshold. In the next step, we train the autoencoder-based local model with the expanded community. Of course, any other base models can be used. Because the relatedness of users to the community may be different, we use the similarities as the user weights for training the local models. After training the multiple local models through step 1 and step 2, we aggregate the local models with the weights of each local model. The weights are based on the similarity calculated in step 1. The loss function for a local model and prediction function is as follows. We train the local models with user weights, which are calculated in the expanded local community. And we aggregate the local models with user weights, which are calculated in the smaller local community. In the right graph, the expanded local community is represented by the yellow circle, and the local community for inference is represented by the blue circle. After aggregating the local models, if there are users not covered by the local models, the global model takes care of them. Now, going back to step 1, you have some options for selecting anchor users. Random selection is the simplest way, but we suggest a more proper way. The local models are expected to be better than the global model for the sub-communities, so we devised a method to maximize the coverage of local models. However, since the optimal algorithm is an NP hard problem, we use a greedy method of iteratively selecting the anchor users who have the most uncovered users. Now, let me introduce the experiments. To verify our experiment, we use several kinds of data sets with various characteristics such as Ruby Lens, Amazon, and Yelp datasets. We use the RIP 5-out method to evaluate each model. We use the last 5 interacted items as the test set and the remaining items as the training set. Recall and NDCG are used as the evaluation metrics. We compare the proposed method with 4 autoencoder-based global models, CDAE, BERT-VAE, RED-VAE, and EASE, and 2 local models, LORMA and SGLSVD. In this table, the proposed models are LOCA-VAE and LOCA-EASE, using BERT-VAE and EASE as the base model. The red bolded values are the highest scores for each data set, and the blue underlined values are the highest value baseline scores for each data set. As you can see, the proposed methods shows higher accuracy than the competing models in all data sets. When we gradually increase the number of local models and observe the accuracy, we found some impressive results. LORMA and the simple ensemble methods show no increases when using more than 50 local models, but LOCA improved consistently as the number of models increased. This result shows that the improvement of LOCA over the global model is not just from the ensemble effects, but from taking advantage of the local community. We also compare several anchor selection methods. Our coverage-based selection method consistently outperforms other anchor selection methods, especially when the number of local models is low. This example intuitively shows how well Loka captures local patterns. From the movie list in the ground truth, we can assume that this user likes science fiction and horror movies. However, the global models cannot capture the user's preferences at all. On the other hand, one of the local models mainly recommends science fiction movie, and another model mainly recommends horror movies. Although a single local model cannot capture the user's whole preferences, each local model may capture a portion of the user preferences. Finally, let me summarize the overall contents. We propose a new local recommender framework, which can handle a large number of local models. It adopts different strategies for training and inferences, and it utilizes non-linear autoencoder-based model as a base model. And it uses anchor selection method for maximizing coverage of local models. Last, we showed that our methods effectively capture local patterns by exhaustive experiments. Thank you for hearing the presentation. If you have any questions, please email me.